folks read? You should have this one, Understanding Different Points of View. All right, what I want you to do is open up to page 12.
Was a breeder of dogs. He raised and trained books that trained many collies, and Lad was his real-life pet. He also wrote other...
To Lad, the real world was bounded by the place. Outside there...
the master and the mistress. And because the dog was strong of soul...
Lad had one, the master. Indeed, he had two, the master and the mistress. And because the dog was strong of soul...
So I'm going to share the screen, and then Allison is going to ask us a series of questions to make sure we understand this text.
Who knows the title of the story? Here.
Quiet.
Who knows the subtitle of the story? Aaron.
An excerpt from Lad, a Dog, a classic story of a courageous collie.
Who knows what an excerpt is? Oh, and what is an excerpt?
An excerpt is when they take a little part of the book and make it into a small story.
Drew, what do you think?
They make it into a small summary so you know what we haven't read.
Who wants to read the exposition? Who?
Lad, a Dog, a classic story of a courageous collie, was first published in 1919. It was based on a collection of stories that had first appeared in magazines. The book's author, Albert Payson Terhune, was a breeder of dogs. He raised and trained many collies, and Lad was his real-life pet. He also wrote other books that featured Lad as the main character. The place in the following passage from chapter 2 was Terhune's own Sunny Bank estate, where he lived with his wife and dogs.
Okay. Who wants to tell me the character's rising action and the main idea?
In the exposition, the characters are Lad, Payson Terhune, and his wife and dogs, and Sunny in the setting is the Sunnybank estate.
Rena, do you want to read paragraph 1? Okay.
To Lad, the real was bounded by the the place. Outside there were a certain number of miles of land, and there was an uncertain number of people. But the miles were uninspiring, except for a cross-country tramp with the master. And the people were foolish and strange folk who either stared at him, which always annoyed Lad, or else tried to pat him, which he hated. But the place was the place.
So, who wants to tell me the character's rising action and setting in this paragraph, in the introduction? Yeah, what do you think?
The characters are Lad and the master, and people in the place.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do I do the setting?
Yeah, you can do the setting.
Okay. The setting was the place outside, where there was a lot of land. I found a rising action.
Okay. Let me call on someone too.
Okay.
Who knows the rising action? I'm waiting for more hands.
The rising action is that people tried to pat him, but he was annoyed by them.
And I agree, we get a little bit of rising action there, but then we get a little bit more where we get that sort of foreshadowing that something is going to happen to one of our characters. So Allison, why don't you go ahead and call on somebody to read paragraph 2 for us?
Okay. Joshua.
Always he had lived on the place. He felt he owned it. It was assuredly his to enjoy, to guard, to patrol from high road to lake. It was his world.
Okay, anyone know the rising action now? What do you think, Maya?
I'm not sure, but I think maybe that like he has to guard and patrol it.
All right, and then what would that tell you? If he has to guard and patrol it, what does that tell the readers about to happen?
I don't really know.
Okay.
What do you think, Drew?
It tells you that something bad is gonna happen and that he needs to be like prepared to guard the park.
There we go. That's what authors do. So you're getting a little sense. If his job is to guard and patrol, that probably detail matters insofar as later he might have to guard and patrol. All right, Allison, how about one person who hasn't had a chance to speak this morning? And paragraph 3 is so tricky. We call this archaic. Nobody writes like this. Nobody speaks like this anymore. So it is a very challenging paragraph. And we're going to talk about one of those sentences, which has got way too many dashes, way too many dependent clauses. But some courageous soul that Allison is going to call on is going to try to slog through paragraph 3 for us.
Presley.
Did.
Seasons, I think.
Seasons of every world must have at least one deity to worship. Deity. Lad had one, the master. Indeed, he had two, the master and the mistress. And because the dog was strong of soul and chivalric withal, and because the mistress was altogether lovable, Lad placed her altar even above the master's, which was holy as it should have been.
I messed up, didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you to do a partner read, didn't I?
Uh-huh.
All right. I failed to do the following. When you get to your breakout room, you're going to do a partner read. Make sure you don't skip what's on page 12. So everybody should have at least 1 or 2 paragraphs to read. And then we'll come back together. So make sure that you partner read this material.